So welcome back, and in this lesson now we will add another stage to our already created project. You remember in the first stage we go by car from Berlin to Hamburg and from there by ship to London, and now we will add another stage, another destination, and I switch from editor view to camera view. And we go to the end of the route. We are in London, and since we would like to use another transportation object, we have to add another stage. But we have seen this is very easy. I click on this button to add another stage, stage 3. The endpoint of stage 2, London, now is the starting point of stage 3. Vasco da Gama has copied all the settings from stage 2 to stage 3. And so the first thing we have to do is to add our endpoint of stage 3. So we use the function to add another point. We look for Paris in the GPS database. And here we have Paris in France. We created text at stopover point as in the whole project. And of course, we need an object at the waypoint as with all other cities in this project. And for Paris, of course, there is only one object that we can place that will represent the city worldwide known, the Eiffel Tower. Okay, and of course we need another object that takes us from London to Paris, and this time I would like to use an airplane. So I select the object, select the plane section, and I will take directly the first plane. And you remember Vasco da Gama has copied all the parameters, so fade in and fade out is still selected, correct. Calming movement we don't need. And now let's take a look at the preview. Going to the preview window and pressing the playback button, now we see all the animation that we have created already. The part from Berlin to Hamburg. Now Hamburg to London by ship. And now the new part, London to Paris by plane. And this looks quite nice, with one fault. The plane moves on the ground. It doesn't go up in the air. Moving on the ground is okay for a car and for a ship, but not for an airplane. So traditionally, we would use additional points, for example, an additional route point short after London to lift the airplane up in the air to give it its flight height, so that the airplane starts at the ground in London and then goes up in the air, and another point short before Paris, so that it maintains the height during the flight, and from that point on, from the next point on, lowering down to land at 0 height in Paris. But we are in Vasco da Gama, and Vasco da Gama has a nice function. And Vasco da Gama has a nice function to solve this problem. And this function is not only available in the EasyAssist mode, but as well in the expert mode. But to enhance this thing a little bit more, I go to the editor, and now let's take a look at the part from London to Paris. I will activate the route line for a moment just to see it, and many times those flights don't go directly in a straight line from one airport to another, but they have to use some corridors in the air directed by the towers, and let's make the same thing. I will add another point here and just make it a little bit stronger, a little bit exaggerating, and I will introduce two curves. This is a little bit extreme, of course, but I would like to show you the function. So I deactivate the root line for the stage again, and now we have to activate this function, flight mode. And this function does all the work for us. And to prove it, into the preview window, and now let's play back the animation, lean back, and see what happens. And now comes the great part. The plane goes up in the air and it inclines in the curves. And we don't have to do anything. So simply activating the flight mode does all the work for us. And this is a very great tool. And as I mentioned, this is available in expert mode as well. So this function realizes all the parameters for us. It does all the work. In a later lesson, I will show you how you can do this traditionally by hand, inserting additional points, because sometimes it isn't avoidable. You have to do it the traditional way, but in most of the situations, this flight mode function is all what we need. So you see, the Easy Assist mode and the flight mode are very cool features of Vasco da Gama and makes our life really easier. Therefore, hence the name. Now, at the end of the lessons for the Easy Assist mode, I would like to show you a small little fine function which is hidden behind this button here in the upper left corner of the travel section. With this button, we can create a route from a GPS track. This function already exists in the expert mode, but it is available here in the Easy Assist mode as well. So we click on this button and now we can select a file which contains a GPS track. Here, for example, a GPS track from a flight from Maui on Hawaii to Zurich in Switzerland. This is a standard KML file from Google, and when we open it, the first thing is the optimize function, which allows us to reduce the number of waypoints to a reasonable amount. For example, the original route contains 34,000 waypoints, and normally we don't need that many points. So here we can reduce it, for example, to a default value of 100, and we simply click OK. The optimization takes place. We skip this process, and here we are. I will zoom out, and here we have the starting point of our route at Maui, and you see the trip goes around the world until finally reaching Zurich. So this is very easy to use, and it proves that we can even create complex routes from a GPS track in the Easy Assist mode.